just get out of your own way. It's simple as that. Because when we begin to get out of our own way, then we can begin to let that highest version of ourselves begin to lead the way. And in this video, I'm going to share with you why it is exactly that you are blocking yourself from becoming the most best version of yourself. You're allowing your higher self to come through you, and how you can take some simple steps to becoming the most best version of yourself right now. So with that being said, let's get on to the video. So when I'm saying about getting out of our own way, we are blocking ourselves. We are blocking ourselves from taking that leap and allowing our most highest version of ourselves to step through and lead our lives. And we are always operating from fear, because so often we allow our fears to override our physical bodies, because the fear is held in the nervous system and we feel the sensations through the body. So our fears is holding us back from being that most highest version of ourselves, because there are many fears that we hold on to. These fears are our wounds, are our inner child wounds. And this is the programming that we get exposed to, or that our subconscious belief and the ego forms. And then it identifies with all these beliefs. The ego identifies with the past pain, the wounding from childhood. So then it operates from a place of fear and woundedness, rather than presence and faith and taking that leap. So we hold on to these fears, and these fears are often things like fear of failure, fear of embarrassment, fear of judgment, because ultimately we fear people's judgment. We fear we're going to be embarrassed, they're going to judge us, we're going to be the outcast. And we have to accept that there are going to be people in this time, in this lifetime, that are going to be polarized by us. They are not going to like us. And it's that courage to just be disliked and feeling that fear anyway, and just taking that step. And ultimately becoming the best version of yourself is about letting go of that old version of yourself that the ego has identified with, and allowing that higher self to come through with the guidance and the wisdom, and being and embodying that, so you can be the best version of yourself. Because embodiment means being it in your body and expressing it through your body. So the fears are holding you back. And what happens here is because you are not giving yourself permission to let go of that old identity, that old version of yourself that is holding on to all these wounds and beliefs. You're holding on to all these wounds so tightly. So we are not giving ourselves the permission to just let it go. And I know that sounds really simple and obvious, but we block ourselves because we are not giving ourselves the permission. We are not handing ourselves the permission slip to just release and let go. And often, most of the time, when we go to things like a Reiki healing, when we go to some kind of transformational ceremony event, and when we feel like, oh, we're finally healed, I've transformed, I've become the best version of myself, all it is you have given yourself permission to become that ultimate version of yourself. And all that's been in the way is yourself. Your ego fears have been blocking you, and you've held on to that. It's this old version, this old identity, this wounding that you have not said goodbye to. So when we give ourselves the permission, we can feel free, we can feel liberated. And this has just happened to me recently. So November last year, I felt a big energetic shift in my business, the content I wanted to create. And one of my videos got a ton more views, and it was a little bit different to what I was previously sharing. It was named, I think, How I Got Out of the Matrix for My Family. I'll try and link it up here if I can. So this video got 1,000 more views than I usually get, and I'd been mainly focusing on conscious parenting. I felt that was my purpose. That's what I wanted to do. And that is very important to me as a mother. But in November last year, I was like, oh my God, is this what I'm meant to be sharing? I'm meant to be sharing more truths, more spiritual concepts, more divine guidance coming through me to give to you. And I had to pause and reflect, because all the other knowledge of conscious parenting I had felt safe. And it was my fear of the unknown, going into something new, was stopping me from taking that leap, having the faith and deciding to become that different version of myself. So I paused for about 3 weeks away from social media to reflect, to go into my shadow, because I felt like a lot was coming up for me. And then when I came back onto social media, I decided I didn't really want to focus on the parenting aspect so much anymore. I wanted to focus on things like the motherhood, the mother archetype, maybe more women empowerment. I was really unsure still, and I felt like I wasn't really ready to go back into my business. And then I continued to kind of share content kind of around conscious parenting and motherhood. I was still holding on to this old identity that felt safe, of this old version of myself that was sharing the conscious parenting tips, because that's all I've known. And working in nurseries and working with children, that felt safe. That's what all the knowledge I had. And I thought, oh my God, people are going to think I'm crazy if I start sharing things about the Matrix. People are going to think, oh, that's just woo-woo. So I had all these stories in my head stopping me from stepping into that most highest version of myself because of fear of judgment. And then 6 months later, I only then decided to let go of that old version of myself, and I no longer share anything about conscious parenting. My business, my mission, my approach has finally kind of been divinely shown to me. It was during the lunar eclipse at the beginning of May. And I felt a whole energetic shift, like a whole new timeline had opened up for me. And it felt so right. And I just let go of that old version of myself, and I was like, no more. And then I announced to my audience, like on social media and my Instagram, saying that I'm finally ready. And I wasn't being honest and truthful with myself about my purpose and what I came here to share for the last 6 months, because I continued to do that despite it didn't feel in alignment anymore. So now I know that this is what I'm meant to do. I'm now feeling more liberated. I'm at a point now where I am happy to share my medicine with you, share what I have to offer. And it was such a heart-opening experience. I was emotional for a long time, and I was experiencing some extreme ascension symptoms at that time. I felt like I was being pulled in a whole new reality. I felt really disconnected from my current reality and felt like I was being accelerated into a whole new version of myself and a timeline. And I felt so disconnected from my current reality. No matter how much I grounded, no matter how much I tried to stay connected to earth and be present, I felt like I was somewhere else, or I was like observing this reality and I felt disconnected. It was a really huge like shift for me, and now I've integrated that a bit more. I've come back down to earth and I feel more present. I don't feel like I'm up here in the stars anymore in space. But this is the thing, when we can begin to let go of old versions of ourselves, it's liberating. We feel more happier. It can feel scary at first because we feel like, I don't know this version of myself. And it feels scary to let things go because our identity is attached to it. We've gave it a really, really strong story and a meaning. And that's all I knew with my old version of myself, because it felt safe. And all we need to do is give ourselves the permission slip to finally become that best version of ourselves, because it was always an evolution process where we can become more better and integrate those parts of us that we haven't accepted, because I believe that's part of it as well, accepting those worst parts of ourselves so we can be at peace with that, so we're not holding on to it. And then we can finally say, that doesn't bother me anymore, because we've accepted it and integrated it. And these worst parts of ourselves is actually the key to healing, to overcoming all your pain and transmuting that and seeing the shadow and sitting with the shadow, because magic happens when you sit with the shadow. Trust me, I've sat with it. And I feel way more connected to the divine when I'm in my shadow, because I can be with it, I can sit with it, and I can see where it comes from, and I can begin to integrate that. There's still parts of me that I'm just still working on those parts. And these often do come from childhood. And that's what is blocking us from being that best version of self, because we're holding on to all these icky, sticky identities that the ego has identified with. And you can become more integrated, more balanced with it all, and become that best version of yourself. And if this sounds like something you want to work towards, on the 16th of June, I will be running an inner child workshop where we talk about the alchemy of the inner child, the energy where it's stored in the body, the stagnation of the inner child, and where we hold on to those old stories, those old beliefs. So if you want to finally say bye-bye to all of those stories, those old beliefs, and heal your wounds, and so you can begin to become the best version of yourselves, click the link in the pinned comments below and you'll be sent straight to the event page where you can save your spot. Now, it's donation based, so you can pay what you can, and I will see you over there. I hope this video has been really helpful for you today. Don't forget, you can always just give yourself permission at any moment to become that highest version of yourself, to step into that new version of yourself. Don't forget, you can check out this video next, and I will see you on the 16th. Much love.